Is our fate set? Is every action we take in life predetermined, or do we have free will? God is in charge, thoroughly sovereign. The Bible makes that quite clear. The Bible, however, never makes an emphatic statement that we have free will. It is implied that we have free will because we are held accountable for our actions. To go further, we must understand what we mean by the word free will. To determine whether or not we have it, we must know what it is. When I say free will, what I mean is the desire to do a thing and the ability to do the thing. With this in mind, we can see that we have a limited free will. Our free will is limited by two things: information and ability. I cannot desire a thing that I do not know exists. When I was a child, growing up, I was unaware that chicken vindaloo existed. I had no desire, I did not have the free will to eat chicken vindaloo because I did not know it even existed. Our free will is limited by the amount of information we have. Additionally, free will is limited by our ability. As a small child, I remember looking at cars and really desiring to drive one. I wanted to drive a car so bad, but I didn't have the ability. I couldn't reach the pedals. I couldn't see over the steering wheel. Although I had the ability to desire because I had the information that cars existed, I did not have the ability to act on my desire. Therefore, my free will was limited. We cannot desire what we do not know, and we do not have free will to do things we are unable to do. Our free will is limited based on our nature. It's also important that we understand that our free will actually changes over time because our information changes and our ability changes as we grow. As a small child, there were many things that I might want to do that I was unable to do. There were additionally many things that I did not know even existed. Therefore, my free will was limited by this. When I became an adult, the amount of information I had increased, the ability to do things increased. Therefore, my free will was less limited. Prior to coming to Christ, my free will was limited by my sin nature. I was a slave to sin. I literally did not have the ability to decide to not do a sin. That doesn't mean everything I did was a sin. I might luck into doing something right every now and then. But it was not something I was capable of to decide to not sin. After accepting Jesus Christ, this changed. As a Christian, we have the ability in a given situation to reject sin and do God's will. Our free will changed. As we study the Bible and delve into scriptures and understand God better, the limits on our free will change because the information we have changes. The more we learn of God's will, the more we are able to follow it because we know what to desire. The more we are aware of our temptations, we are better able to have the free will to decide to not sin. Our free will changes. Our free will change yet again when we move from this life to the next. In heaven, our free will be different. It will be different based on our knowledge and abilities. In heaven, we will know completely as we are known. Now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now we know but in part, but then we will know fully. Our free will be increased because the ability to do things will change. When we look at Christ's resurrection, we see some of the things that we may be able to do. He moved through walls. He traveled great distances in a moment. He appeared and disappeared. He hid his appearance from people. I don't know the specifics of what's going to change about our abilities. But in a glorified body, our abilities will change. However, our restrictions will change. Because our sin nature will be removed and we will be glorified, we will no longer have the free will to choose to sin. does this mean that everything we do will be dictated and prescribed, will be set in stone? No. Even on earth, when we follow God's will, when we do what He desires us to do, when we forgive and love and serve, how we do so is something we still decide. When I forgive somebody, I might not do it the same way you do. I have the free will to decide how I am going to follow God's will. I have the free will to decide how I'm going to serve God. I get this idea that this will be the same in heaven from Scripture itself. 2 Timothy 3:16 says that all Scripture is inspired by God, God-breathed. And yet each of the men writing those books wrote it in his own style, in his own idiom, in his own grammatical patterns, with his own vocabulary. All of them followed God's inspired word perfectly, yet they were able to do so in their own free will, in the manner that they chose. If I were to take the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow and give it to 3 different musicians, Willie Nelson, Judy Garland, that fella from Hawaii that does a beautiful version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, they could all follow the song perfectly in their own style, in their own manner. We can all follow God's will in our own style, in our own manner. In heaven, we will be able to do so perfectly. Yes, we will have free will as angels. We will be able to have a greater free will than we have on this earth. Our knowledge will be increased. Our abilities will be increased. We will have free will. We will not have the free will to sin. We will have the free will to follow God in the manner that we choose.